today's class, we're gonna be talking about spiritual fornication. It's kind of a marriage class. It is a marriage class too. Spiritual fornication. So I see a few that's married. Who's not married here? Raise your hand. Okay. The ones that are not married, you aspire to be married at some point, correct? All right. So this lesson will be it get your mind right, it get your attitude right for marriage, because a worldly marriage is like this, right? You see somebody beautiful, you fall in love. What does he call it? Love at first sight. But that's actually lust at first sight. And the first place we learn that is watching fairy tales. Your daughters learn that watching Cinderella, Love at First Sight. Wait, I was watching Princess and the Frog with my daughter, and it was a pretty cool movie. But then I like sat back and I thought of it. I was like, wait a minute. She just met this dude like a week ago. You know what I'm saying? And she got turned into a frog. They kissed as frogs, and now they like together. That's lust. That's not love. You're supposed to prove a friend. You know what I'm saying? So when I be sitting back and I be thinking of stuff like that, I be like, that's deep, man. They teach our kids to lust. Cinderella, they teach you to lust. You know what I'm saying? All these little cartoons teaching our daughters and our sons to lust. Look for love at first sight. That's what it is. And then you just fall in love. No, but that's lust, right? So let's get the spirit rolling. Let's go to Isaiah 30 and 8. Let me get the spirit rolling. Damn, you quick. Okay. Yeah, I'm ready.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 8.
Uh-huh.
Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book.
Write it in a table and note it in a book. Write the prophecies in a table, note them in a book. Read.
That it may be for the time to come.
That it may be for a time to come, right? So when they wrote it in the book presently, they didn't understand everything that was being written, but the understanding would be coming out for a time to come. It'll be a time to come, right? Now, give me Daniel 12 and 9. Say, write it in a book, that it be for a time to come. Now, we know that this is the end times because we are starting to understand His word. The understanding is being brought up by our captains and bishops, and it's making sense. It's making sense. We asking questions to the pastors, they can't answer because they never learned this, you know. So we getting to understand it. We know that these are the last days. Go ahead.
Daniel chapter 12 and verse 9. And he said, go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed to the time of the end.
The words have been closed up and the understanding have been sealed to the time of the end, to the time of the end, right? So the class is about spiritual fornication, all right? So let's go to 1 Corinthians 6 and 9.
1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God?
The unrighteous is not getting into the kingdom, not receiving rulership over the earth. Read.
Be not deceived.
Don't be tricked.
Neither fornicators.
Neither what?
Fornicators.
Neither what?
Fornicators.
Okay.
Nor idolaters. Nor adulterers. Nor effeminate. Nor abusers of themselves with mankind.
Keep reading.
Nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revelers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God.
Now, that was a list of sins there, right? There's a list of sins there that's going to keep you out of the kingdom. He could have read every single one, but that would require a whole another couple chapters and books, and you know what I'm saying? So he just summed it up with a few sins. These sins are going to keep you out of the kingdom, right? Now read verse 11.
Verse 11. And such were some of you.
Such was some of you. Such was some of you. Such was some of me. We were some of these things, right? And the point was here, fornicators, right? We was those things. We was all that. It say, but such were some of you. Read.
But ye are washed.
But ye are washed. Read.
But ye are sanctified before ye, but ye are justified in the name of the Lord Jesus and by the Spirit of our God.
Okay, so it said we was fornicators, we was idolaters, we was covetous, we was adulterers, abusers of ourselves and mankind. We was thieves, we was drunkards, right? But then it says, and such were some of you, but ye were washed. Some of us was all that, but as we was that, something happened along the way, and we were washed from that. Now we all know what washes us, but we got new people. So let's go to Ephesians 5:26. It said we were some of those sinners, we were fornicators, idolaters, adulterers, but we were washed. What washed us? All right.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word.
We was washed with the water by the word. The word took us from being adulterers, took us from being covetous, took us from being fornicators, and the word is what changed us. It's what converted us. It's what washed us, right? So from there, give me Isaiah 1:16. We're talking about the sins we was in, and the main sin that I wanted to that I had him repeat was fornication, because that's what the main topic of the class is. All right, it's the class is here to get your attitude right for marriage, and if you already married, it's to get your attitude right on how you treat your wife, how your wife treats you, and what it means, because it's bigger than what you think. Like I was saying, a traditional marriage begins with lust, right? Traditional marriage begin with lust, and then without no God behind it, it's nothing from stopping you from putting your wife or your husband away. There's no consequence to it, right? So when you get tired of your wife, let's say after 20 years or 25 years, and you decide to step out, and just because you feel like it, then we come to this saying where they say, well, we just growing apart. Ain't no such thing as growing apart. Ain't no such thing as that. Once you married, you there to the end. Ain't no growing apart. Somebody being rebellious, and that's what it is. Somebody's being rebellious and not submitting. But if there's no God in there in the first place, what's stopping you from growing apart? Nothing, right? So we end up on this slow road to divorce, where the man and woman is fighting for power in the household all this time, and to the point where it's like, you know what? We're growing apart. So a biblical marriage and what you're actually doing is much heavier than that. It's much heavier than lust, grow apart, and get a new one. That's not marriage. That ain't marriage at all, right? So really want to get the attitudes right for being married, right? Now, we was talking about some of us being fornicators, some of us being idolaters, but we were washed, right? Ephesians 5:26 said the water of the word is what washed us, correct? Now read Isaiah 1:16.
Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 16. Wash ye, make you clean.
We're going to wash ourselves and make us clean. What makes us clean? Read on.
Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes.
The evil you're doing is what you got to put away. Read.
Cease to do evil.
Stop doing evil. And only the word is going to make us do that. Only the word does that. Correct? Okay, so from here, let's go to Genesis 1:26, right? So God put us through all these relationships in our lives, put us through all these situations in our life so we can understand. Because believe it or not, God wants you to understand why he did what he did to you. He wants you to understand it. He definitely wants you to understand, or else he wouldn't put your kids in your life like the way he do. He wouldn't put these relationships in your life the way they do. Everything is a symbolization, and you're not so much different than God. The thing is, we got the same emotions as God, right? God laughed, but the thing that make him laugh ain't the thing that make you laugh. You know what I'm saying? He don't what you think funny, he don't think so funny. God get angry, but the thing that make you angry is not what makes him angry. You get what I'm saying? So he put these emotions in us, so for you to understand. But we ain't there. We still babies. So his ways are higher than ours. But as we grow, we start to understand. It's like, oh, and the more I understand, the more I can acknowledge my offense. You get what I'm saying? So let's start here at Genesis 1:26.
The book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
Okay, so it said, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So it's saying two things, right? He's saying, let's make man look like us and be something like us, after our likeness, right? So, like I said, he put the emotions in you, that he have, but what make him laugh don't make you laugh. You know what I'm saying? I could see it. Like, I remember I would see somebody trip and fall in the water, and I'll start cracking up like, ah. But God be like, go help your brother. You know what I'm saying? So what make me laugh don't make him laugh. You get me? And I remember when I first came into truth, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to just do it real quick. When I first came into truth, I was like, man, it said when it's time to me to learn, I got to go back and learn again. So what I'm finna do, I'm finna go back and read the Bible again. So, and this is in the first chapter. It said, and God said, let us make me. I was like, oh, snap, is it two gods? Is it? You know what I'm saying? I was confused on the first chapter. So if that's your mindset, you get here and say, let us make man in our image and our likeness. I would like to just explain it, all right? So let's go to John 1:1. Let's see who he was talking to. Yeah. Let's see who God was talking to when he said, let us. Is there other gods? Right? God said, ain't nobody up here with me. But in the first chapter, it said, let us make man in our image. So let's just clear it up for the new spirits, all right?
The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning was the Word.
In the beginning was the Word.
And the Word was with God.
The Word was with God. The Word was with God. Read.
And the Word was God.
Word was God. God just means a power. It is not the Most High God. There's only one Most High God, right? God means power. The Word was God. Read.
The same was in the beginning with God.
The same Word was in the beginning with God.
All things were made by him.
All things were made by the Word that was in the beginning with God. Read.
And without him was not anything made that was made.
Without the Word that was with God in the beginning, before he made anything, he made everything with the Word, right? Now, let's go to Revelations 19 and 13. So now we can see who the Word was that was with God in the beginning, all right?
The book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 13.
Start at 12 so we know who we're talking about.
Verse 12. His eyes were as a flame of fire.
Y'all know who that's talking about, right? Y'all know who that's talking about? His eye was a flame of fire, right? Read on.
And on his head were many crowns.
And
he had a name written that no man knew but himself.
That goes into that nobody have the name currently today, right? But the point is here, read.
And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God.
What's Christ's name?
The Word of God.
What's Christ's name?
The Word of God.
Let's go back to John 1 and 1.
John chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning was the Word.
In the beginning, Christ was with God. Read.
And the Word was with God.
Christ was with God in the very beginning before he made anything else. Read.
And the Word was God.
And the Word was a power just like God, but he is not the Most High God. Read.
And verse 2. The same was in the beginning with God.
Christ was the very first thing God made. Read.
All things were made by him.
God had Christ make everything. He had Christ make everything. So when he said, let there be light, he had Christ make it. When he separated the firmament, he had Christ do it. Right? So this Genesis 1:26 told me up when I first read it. So as I read it, I want to just clear it up, right? That way we all know. Where I got you at? Go ahead.
Verse 3. John chapter 1 and verse 3. All things were made by him.
All things were made by Christ. Read.
And without him was not anything made that was made.
Christ made everything on the planet. He made everything on the planet. He was that angel behind us when we parted the Red Sea. He was there for everything, right? So go to Hebrews 1 and 2. No, we're going to leave that.
Hebrews chapter 1 and verse 2. Mm-hmm. Have in these last days spoken unto us by his Son,
Jesus,
whom he hath appointed heir of all things, by whom also he made the world.
Boom, it said it again. Sounds so nice, it said it twice. But it said in a simpler form. It say his Son, by whom he made the worlds. God used Christ to make everything on the planet, right? Read on.
Verse 3. Who being the brightness of his glory.
Who being the brightness of God's glory.
And the express image of his person.
He's a what?
Express image of his person.
So he made Christ look just like him. An express image of his person. Read.
And upholding all things by the word of his power.
Read on.
When he had by himself purged our sins, sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high.
That lets you know they are separate. There is no God, Christ, and Holy Spirit is one being. He sat down on the right hand of the majesty on high. He sat on the Most High's right hand. So in the beginning, there was God and there was Christ. In the beginning, right? And Christ is who being the brightness of his glory and the express image of his person. Christ is the quick image of God. Whatever God looked like, Christ looked like. He made him look just like him, right? Now when we go back to Genesis 1:26, it makes too much sense. Watch this.
Genesis chapter 1 verse 26. And God said, let us make man in our image.
Christ. Let us make man in our image. Read.
After our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Now stop there. He said Christ. Let us make man in our image. I made you look just like me, so let us make man look just like us. Okay? Give me Daniel 7 and 9. See what the first man looked like. He said, let us make man in our image.
Daniel chapter 7 and verse 9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
God got a body. Read.
Whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool.
Let us make man in our image. So when he made man, he gave him the hair of pure wool. Hands down. So we always hear Genesis 2 and 7 say God made man of the dust of the ground. Yeah, that's hands down, but he also gave him an afro. He looked like the dust of the ground, and he had an afro. Right? Now give me Revelations 1 and 14.
Revelations chapter 1 and verse 14. His head and his hair were white like wool.
So God had woolly hair, and he made Christ an express image of his person. So he said, I'm going to put woolly hair on my son also. And then he had a conversation with Christ and said, let us make man in our image. So guess what kind of hair he put on the first man? Woolly hair. Easy work. Read.
As white as snow. And his eyes were as a flame of fire.
The same eyes of a flame of fire whose name is the word of God. That same guy. Read.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
Okay, now going into skin color, he had feet like fine brass, which is brown.
As if they burned in a furnace.
As if they burned in a furnace. So he was a dark-skinned man with a white woolly afro up there with God, who also had an afro, was having a conversation with God in the very beginning, said, let us make man in our image. So he gave him dark skin and an afro. Easy work. Easy work. Let's go to Genesis 1:26.
Genesis chapter 1 and verse 26.
Matter of fact, go to Genesis 2 and 7.
Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground.
There it is. There it is. He formed man of the dust of the ground. So now we're getting a better idea, because Genesis is just as confusing as Revelations. Genesis is hard. Genesis is hard if you don't have precepts. Because you be sitting out, like I said, when I read it, I was confused. I was like, I thought it was only one God. You know what I'm saying? And he was talking to somebody up there until I got precepts like, oh, he was talking to Christ and the angels. Okay, that makes sense, right? So from there, let's go to Hosea 1:15. Let's go there. Because like I said, he do want you to understand why he doing what he doing to you at the end of the day. Even like when I punish my kids, the point is not to punish them because I can that to just to assert my authority. I want to punish them so they can understand why they got punished, so they don't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? I want to. I need my kids to grow up to a point so they can understand how to manage money. Understanding is key. You know what I'm saying? With all thy getting, get understanding. So I need my kids to understand why I did what I did. The whooping may hurt. You know what I'm saying? And I tell my son, look, I whooped your ass because I love you. Like, what? He don't understand that yet. You know what I'm saying? But when he get older, he's like, oh, you was trying to steer me away from drugs. You were trying to steer me away from whorish women. Okay. You love me when you gave me that whooping. Thanks, Dad. You know what I'm saying? So that's the same kind of understanding we need to come to. It's like, oh, you put us in captivity because these nations are like iron rusted. So is their spirit. The spirit's not right up in them. We're going into idolatry. We keep, you know what I'm saying? Oh, that's why you did it. Thanks, Dad. We're not doing that no more. You get it? You know what I'm saying? That's the point of him putting us through these things, right? Now, let's read it out the Bible.
Hosea chapter 5 and verse 15. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense.
Until they understand what they did, what was so wrong. I'm going to go and return to my place till. I'm not going to leave you forever. He said until they acknowledge their offense. Understand, like, oh, we was wicked as hell. Oh, okay. Thanks, God. Right? So from there, let's go to Hosea 12 and 10.
Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes.
Use what?
Similitudes.
How do God teach us?
And use similitudes.
He used similitudes. He used similitudes because sometimes it may be hard to understand. So he say, well, it's like this. Blah, 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 blah. That's the same thing. I remember God did that with King David. He used a similitude so he can understand it. So he said there was a man that had one sheep. You know what I'm saying? And the other man had, I don't know if y'all know it, but basically he took Uriah's wife. And he used a similitude to make him understand it. He said, now, if that man that took the one sheep and he had abundance, and he stole the man that had one sheep, how would you feel about that, basically? He said, man, that man should be put to death, right? And then he said, that's you, King David. Oh, I did do something terrible. You know what I'm saying? So he used a similitude. So we get a bunch of similitudes all through our life, right? From there, let's go to Isaiah 30 and 1. Start there. Watch how God compare us. You know what I'm saying? Watch the similitude that you see every day through your, I'll let the scripture say, watch this.
Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 1. Woe to the rebellious children.
What are we?
Rebellious children.
God refers us as rebellious children, right? So, no, he's going to put children in your life to represent what you're doing. Your hard-headed kids that frustrate you, that's you. That's you. The ones that don't listen, that's you. The ones sneaking out in the middle of the night to go teenagers, that's you. He compared us to rebellious children. Read.
Saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me.
They take counsel of everything else. I'm sitting here trying to raise you, trying to teach you this, and you go out there and you counsel with your friends and how they dad teach you and how they dad teach them, and they say it's okay to go out at night. But I told you this and that, and that's you. That's us. We taking counsel from everybody else's parent, not ours. Read.
And that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit.
And we don't have God's spirit. We got somebody else's spirit. We acting like somebody else's family. When God got a heritage for you, made you special, made you different. That's us, rebellious children. Jump down to verse 9.
Verse 9. That this is a rebellious people.
We are a rebellious people.
lying children.
We be lying. You know how mad I be when my kids lie? That make me madder than what they did. So then I examine myself like, oh, that's us. All right, so how do I relate that to myself? Every time I see my kids do something wrong, I be like, okay, that's why God's so mad. That's why he's so mad, because I did that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm acknowledging my offense through these similitudes, through all these things I'm seeing in my life. Like, okay, I get it, because I got the same anger that God got, but the thing that make him angry don't make me angry, so he put me in a situation that will make me angry so I can see why he feel like. You get what I'm saying? Go ahead. Keep reading.
Children that will not hear the law of the Lord.
We don't want to hear God's laws. We don't want to hear God's laws. Go to Jeremiah 4:22. So he spoke by similitudes, right? And he put all these things in your life. He made you in his likeness, in his image and his likeness, right? You don't think like him, but you got the same emotions as him, right? So he got to put you through these situations with your children. That's why he compare you to children, because children are this. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 4, verse 22. For my people is foolish.
Foolish.
They have not known me. They are sottish children.
Sottish means stupid. We stupid kids. Dumb teenagers. Think you know everything about the world, but you don't know nothing. Can't pay a bill. Talking about you're going to run away and can't feed yourself. You know what I'm saying? That's us. We are stupid kids as a nation. Read.
And they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil.
We wise to do evil. We know how to party and club and smoke and drink. We know how to do all that as kids and think we grown. Read.
But to do good, they have no knowledge.
You have no knowledge. You have no knowledge. So look how God comparing us so far. He comparing us to rebellious and lying, silly children. And we all got them. We all got them in our nation. We all got rebellious, lying, silly children in our nation. And the challenge is what? As a parent, to correct that silliness, right? Correct that to bring them to a proper adult. That's the goal, right? So look what the goal is for God for us. As we lying, silly, sottish children, the goal is to correct us so we can be functioning adults. You're not so different than God. But he gotta put you through something where you can understand it and acknowledge your offense, right? So from there, give me Jeremiah. Matter of fact, give me one more. Give me Ephesians 6:1. Give me Ephesians 6:1.
Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 1.
Here go the solution.
Children, obey your parents in the Lord.
Oh, you see why he put that in there? It's more than just children obey your parents. It's got another meaning. It's also talking about the nation. Obey your parents. Obey your heavenly Father. Right? That's all he wants for us. That's the solution to being sottish, lying, silly children that have no understanding. That's the solution right there. Obey your Father. Obey God. Keep his commandments. That's all. That's all you got to do. Right? Now from there, go to Jeremiah 3:14. Let me get there with you on this one.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 14. Turn, O backsliding children.
So far he has compared us to lying, silly children with no understanding. So he said, turn, O backsliding children. Read.
Saith the Lord. For I am married unto you.
Wait a minute. Now he's using marriage. So you're not only learning about God through your children, you learning about God through your marriage. He said, I am married unto you. Read.
And I will take you one of a city and two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
So now pay attention to your kids. Now pay attention to your marriage, because these things are going to teach you how God feels. It's going to help you acknowledge your offense. Pay attention to these marriages. Pay attention to these children, right? Give me 2nd Ezra 6 and 58.
Second Ezra chapter 6 and verse 58. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, thy only begotten, and thy fervent lover.
Thy what?
Fervent lover.
Thy what?
Fervent lover.
We God's fervent lover. He is comparing us to, he always compared the nation to a woman, right? to a woman. So this is a news flash right here, right? All those laws that men like to hear about women submitting and all, that's for you too. That's talking to you. That's talking to you. That's talking to them, but that's talking to you. The way they supposed to submit, you supposed to submit to God. That's talking to you. So now we starting to understand, okay, we're gonna pay attention to these children, right? Because they're gonna give us every lesson. We like, okay, you know what? I whooped my son so good because I caught him in the act and he hid the toy behind his back. I could still see the toy. You know what I'm saying? I gave him a good one. You know what I'm saying? So when we came down, when Moses came down from Mount Sinai and we was dancing around them two calves, oh yeah, whooping time. And we got every ounce of them whoopings. And we still in the midst of this one. We at the end of it. It's almost time to come out the room. You know what I'm saying? But we still at the end of this whooping. You get what I'm saying? So pay attention to your kids. Pay attention to your marriages, right? He said, I'm your you my first begotten and my fervent lover, right? You married and he loved this woman. You get me? So from there, go to Jeremiah 3. And let me see where I want to start. I want to start. I like it. Okay. So we still in the same chapter, right? We're going to bounce back to verse 2. Verse 2. So he said in verse 14, it said, eternal backsliding children, thus saith the Lord, for I am married unto you. I am married unto you. So guess what? He married unto you, and you his fervent lover, right? Now let's see what we did. Verse 2.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 2. Mm-hmm. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lined with. In the ways hast thou set for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness.
So we learn from the Arabians in the wilderness.
And thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms.
With thy what?
Whoredoms.
With thy what?
Whoredoms.
Okay, so wait a minute. We married, he loved us fervently, and we commit whoredom. We commit whoredom, right? So check this out. Long time ago, long time ago, before I came up in here, there's a sister I was dealing with. And she decides that she wants to leave me for some other guy, right? So, like I said, pay attention to these relationships. Everything written in your past is written for your learning, right? So she decides to leave me for this other guy, right? And it's like, fine. I had no problem with it. Fine. Guess what? She calls me a couple months later. You know, she say, oh, man, he hit me. I did this and he hit me. and I didn't laugh in her face, but deep down inside, I was like, that's what you get. That's how I felt. I was like, yeah, you should have stayed where you was at. You know what I'm saying? Now, how you think God feel? These nations is taking us into captivity. They doing us wrong. That's what y'all get. The same thing. He got the same emotions as us. You get what I'm saying? But he gotta put these relationships in your life for you to see what, that's what we cheated. Oh, that thing hurt. That thing hurt when somebody, if you love somebody, if anybody been in a relationship and you really, really love that person and they leave you, that thing hurt. Especially when you the one taking care of them, you the one, you done put them through college, and you done, come on now, that thing hurts. So God like, look, I done took you out of Egypt, I done dusted you off, I done saved you from the Egyptians, you got the nerve to leave me for the Arabians in the wilderness, you dancing around two calves and you serving Baal, that's what you get when you call me. Till you acknowledge your offense, till you really understand what you did wrong, right? Read it again.
Jeremiah chapter 3 and verse 2.
Matter of fact, jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said also unto me in the days of Josiah the king, hast thou seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She is gone up. Who? She.
That one he married to, that he loved fervently, she
is gone up upon every high mountain and under every green tree, and there have played the harlot.
Committed adultery. That's us, right? That same way you would feel, that's how he feel. Read.
And I said,
down to verse 8.
Verse 8. And I saw, when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery.
So we like a married. We are married to him, right? He loves us fervently. We committing whoredoms and adultery against him. So now you see why he's so mad. He actually loved you fervently, and you did this to him. Fervently. Read on.
I have put her away and given her a bill of divorce. Yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not.
This is the whole nation now. Now it's the whole nation. First the northern kingdom was put away, right? But now after that, southern kingdom didn't fear. They thought we good. We good. But guess what? They feared not and did what?
But went and played the harlot also.
We did the same thing. We did the same thing. Read.
Verse 9. And it came to pass through the lightnings of her whoredom that she defiled the land and committed adultery with stones and with stocks.
Uh-oh, that's wood and stone. Wood and stone, and we still doing that currently. We got Christianity, which represent that wood. We got Islam that represent that stone. We still in the midst of that adultery today. And guess what? We go out there and teach and trying to get them out of that, man. Trying to get you to understand what you're doing is so wrong. You know what I'm saying? We don't understand it. Could you imagine like this? You love somebody, right? And you catch them cheating. And then they like, what? It's just sex. I don't love them. I don't love them. It's just a little. What do you mean? What do you mean you don't? You know what I'm saying? So sex not a big deal to you, but to me, it's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? So we over there like, what? We just ate a little pork like the Greeks. We just ate it. What's so wrong, God? Why would you put us in captivity? No, it's a big deal. That's whoredom. You know what I'm saying? We doing all the customs of the other nations. What, Lord? I'm just wearing pants. They got women's pants now. What? What do you mean, what? You know what I'm saying? That's how he feel. So from there, go to First Chronicles 5:25.
The book of First Chronicles, chapter 5 and verse 25. And they transgressed against the God of their fathers.
We transgressed against the Most High God. Read.
And went a whoring.
There we go. We went and served other gods. Spiritual fornication. We went a whoring. We married to him. We his fervent lover. We decided to go a whoring with other gods. Read.
And went a whoring after the gods of the people of the land, whom God destroyed before them.
Like what? It's just sex. What? What's the big deal? Read.
And the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of Paul, king of Assyria.
After we do that, after we go a whoring, he stirs up a spirit of another nation, and what happens?
And the spirit of Tiglath-Pileser, king of Assyria, and he carried them away, even the Reubenites and the Gadites and the half tribe of Manasseh, and brought them unto Halaf, and Habon, and Harah, and to the rivers, and to the river Gozan unto this day.
So we went into captivity. We played the harlot, right? And we go a whoring after other gods. So the same thing he did back then, after you do that, I'm going to put you into captivity under the Assyrians. You see why we in captivity now? Oh, we starting to acknowledge our offense. Easy work. So from there, let's go to 2 Corinthians 11 and 2.
2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 2. For I am jealous over you.
So wait a minute. God get jealous. He said, I am jealous over you.
With godly jealousy.
He got godly jealousy, right? Y'all ever heard in the Christian church, they know this. They say God a jealous God. God a jealous God. They tell you that all day. You know what I'm saying? They say that right after they say God don't like ugly. He's a jealous God. You know what I'm saying? They know that, but they don't know what they're talking about when they say God is a jealous God. He a jealous God. Read that again.
For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy. For I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Christ.
So God said, I espoused you, nation of Israel, you still that woman, unto one husband as a chaste virgin. Right? So look, we messed up with the Most High God. Now he going to give us to his son. Right? He going to give us to his son. Should have put us away all the way. Should have destroyed it, but he said, you know what? New covenant. You have my son. Now you come through me through my son. Right? So from there, go to Numbers 5 and 12. We're talking about God being jealous, right? So now we get an understanding of what it means when he say he a jealous God. Because the whole time it was talking about Israel. Talking about Israel the whole time. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 5 and verse 12. Speak unto the children of Israel.
Speak unto who?
The children of Israel.
Uh-huh.
And say unto them, if any man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally.
And somebody lay with her just for sex. No emotions to it, no strings attached. It was just carnally. She looked good. He desired her. That's the only reason they did. Right? Read.
And it be hid from the eyes of her husband.
Husband don't know about it.
And be kept close.
She didn't tell nobody about it. It's a secret.
And she be defiled. And there be no witness against her.
Nobody else seen it. Nobody knows it but her and this man. Right? Read.
Neither should she be taken with the manner. And the spirit of jealousy come upon him.
What happens?
The spirit of jealousy come upon him.
The man is like, something ain't right, man. Why is she dressing like that for work? Something ain't right. She wearing all this extra perfume now. Something ain't right. That's called the spirit of jealousy coming on him. The spirit of jealousy. So guess what? God looking at the nation like something ain't right. They down there eating swine's flesh now. So he a jealous God. The same thing, you got the same emotions that he got, but the things that make him feel jealous don't make you feel jealous. What make him mad don't make you mad. So he set these similitudes in your life so you can understand, like, oh, that's what I did so wrong. Right? Read on.
And he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled. Or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him,
or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, read.
And he be jealous of his wife.
He jealous of his wife.
And she be not defiled.
And she not defiled. Sometimes that spirit come on you and she didn't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But that spirit of jealousy, God got that same spirit with his nation, especially with his wife that he married, that fervent lover that keep playing the whore. You know what I'm saying? Jump down to verse 19.
Verse 19. And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, if no man have lion with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband,
you didn't do nothing,
be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse.
That water tear you up. We're going to read it. We're going to see what it do. If we had that water today, uh-oh. Read on.
But if thou hast gone aside to another instead,
but if you have gone aside, read,
instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lion with thee besides thine husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, the Lord make thee a curse, and an oath among thy people, when the Lord do make thy thigh to rot.
The Lord will make your thigh rot.
And thy belly to swell.
Your belly to swell, right? And this all begins when the man gets the spirit of jealousy over the woman he loved. You know what I'm saying? So when they say, oh, God, a jealous God, yeah, he's jealous over his wife, his fervent lover, that nation of Israel, those backsliding children. They don't even know who it's talking about. They have no idea who it's talking about, right? Go to verse 29.
Verse 29. This is the law of jealousy. When a wife goeth aside to another instead of her husband.
Ain't that what we did? As God's wife, we went aside to another, right? So when it say God is a jealous God, there it is. Something ain't right. See something unclean in you. All right? So from there, let's go to Wisdom of Solomon 14 and 12.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication.
Idols is spiritual fornication. We made that. We started devising idols. We went into spiritual fornication. So like I said, pay attention to your kids because you're going to get a lot of signs of, okay, these kids is hard-headed. Really, really pissed me off as an adult. I whooped my son, but so good one time. I was tired. I got tired whooping him. I was mad. And then when I was done, I was like, oh, okay. That's why he put us in slavery like that. He was mad. He put us in slavery so long, he tired. You know what I'm saying? The same way. I understand that now. Oh, your kids can make you, they can make you that mad. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the lion. You know what I'm saying? Where I got you holding?
Wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah, go ahead. Close it out.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14 and verse 12.
Mm-hmm.
For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life.
That's what corrupted us as a people, right? So it's always talking about us being married to God, going off, playing the whore, spiritual fornication. It's just like cheating. Just like cheating. The same way somebody cheat on you and you get pissed off, that's how he feel about you, right? So from there, let's go to Matthew 22 and 9. Let me get there with you. Oh, okay. Okay, so now look, we messed up with the Most High. Said, fine, you know what? I'll give you another chance with my son. First covenant, second covenant. Easy work, right? You was married to me, you played the whore, you went off, now I give you to my son. Okay? Read what you got.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Go ye therefore into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage.
Bid to the marriage of Christ in the nation of Israel now. Right? Right? We do that all the time. Go to Luke 14:23 and hold your thumb there. We're coming right back. This is what we do every Sabbath. This is what our brothers out there doing right now. As we speak, they out there bidding them to the marriage. Out there bidding them, telling them get ready for the marriage. Christ is coming back to marry Israel. You better be ready. Read.
Luke chapter 14, verse 23. And the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges.
Ain't that what we just read in Matthew 19, 22? We just read the same thing. Go to the highways. Read.
And compel them to come in that my house may be filled.
That's what we're doing currently, right now. Every camp is out there right now bidding the nation to the marriage, compelling them to come in, right? Go back to Matthew 22 and 9.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 9. Go ye, therefore, into the highways, and as many as ye shall find, bid to the marriage. So those servants went out into the highways and gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests.
The marriage between Christ and Israel shall be furnished. It should be a full packed house. It's going to be packed. All right, read.
Verse 11. And when the king came and to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment.
Oh, he didn't have his wedding garment on. He came to the door dressed like he wanted to dress. Read.
And he saith unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless.
So you come to the wedding of Christ and Israel without your garment on. Without your garment on. Give me Isaiah 61 and 9. We'll keep our thumb here, right? So what is this talking about? It's a parable, so you got to know precept upon precept to understand the parable, right? You there?
Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 9. And their seed shall be known among the Gentiles, and their offerings and their offspring among the people. All that see them shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord hath blessed.
Now, what that sound like? Read it again. We talk in Matthew 22. We talking about Christ being married to Israel, right? Read that again.
And their seed,
the seed of the Israelites,
shall be known among the Gentiles.
Shall be known among the Gentiles. Right now they call us niggas. They call us spics. They say we steal. They say we murder. We rape. We rob. Right? But they gonna see, and they gonna be like, they gonna acknowledge that we are the seed of God. Read.
and their offspring among the people. All that see them,
everyone that see us,
shall acknowledge them, that they are the seed which the Lord have blessed.
Now, guess what? When the bride walking down the aisle, don't everybody see? Everybody see when the bride walking down the aisle. There's music playing, ain't nobody talking. It's like, dang, look how beautiful she is today. We ain't never seen her look like that. We seen her in the past, but today she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? That's us walking down the aisle. All the nations gonna see that and acknowledge us. We're getting married to Christ. We're getting married to Christ. Read on.
Verse 10. I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My soul shall be joyful in my God. For he have clothed me.
He have what?
Clothed me.
He have clothed me what?
Have clothed me with the garments of salvation. He have covered me with the robe of righteousness.
What are we clothed with? Salvation and righteousness. Let's get Deuteronomy 6:25. Let's see what righteousness is. Let's see what the man didn't have when he showed up to the wedding. Let's see what he wasn't clothed with.
Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 25. And it shall be our righteousness.
Our what?
Righteousness. If we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God as he have commanded us.
So he came to the wedding and he wasn't keeping the commandments. Christ came back and he wasn't ready. He wasn't keeping the commandments when Christ cracked that sky like a thief in the night. He didn't have his garments on. He wasn't clothed with righteousness. Let's go back to Matthew 22 and 10.
Matthew chapter 22 and verse 10. So those servants went out into the highways.
Just like we do every Sabbath day, we go out there and tell you better repent. Give them warning from me. God finna burn this place down. Get ready, read.
And gathered together all as many as they found, both bad and good. And the wedding was furnished with guests.
Full, packed house, read.
And when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment.
He wasn't keeping the commandments yet. And it was like a smooth song. Oh yeah, we Israel, we Israel. He put his fringes on, but go home and do what he want to do. You know what I'm saying? He ain't keeping the commandments outside of the side of leadership. Read.
And he saith unto him, Friend, how camest thou in hither, not having a wedding garment?
How you think you're gonna get in here without having your clothes on, without having your wedding clothes on? This is a star-studded event. You came dressed like you going to work? No. Read.
And he was speechless. Verse 13. Then said the king to the servants, Bind him hand and foot, and take him away.
Get him up out of here.
And cast him into outer darkness.
Cast him into outer darkness.
There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Now look, if you read the Gospels, right, every time Christ gave a parable, it ends with that. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Right? That just means you're going to die when I come back. Every parable is talking about Christ coming, people not being ready, death, burnt up with fire. So the gist of the class is, look, you learning about how God feels through your children, through the marriages that are around you, and especially in your own marriage. You learning exactly how he feels, right? So in learning how he feels, you get a chance to acknowledge your offense. So when you see your kids being hard-headed and rebellious, it's like, oh, man, that's how he feel about me. And then when your kids is obedient, they had a good day. It's like, how was son today? He was great. You feel good, like, yeah, that's my boy. That's my daughter right there. She was good. Don't you want God to feel like that about you? How was my nation? Oh, man, they was keeping your laws. Oh, praises. That's my kids right there. Or you want to be like, man, they've been cutting up all day. Get in the room. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. Same way you feel about your fervent lover, your wife, your spouse. Oh yeah, I found some infidelity and she over there cheating. Yeah, how mad you gonna be? Or do you want to get a good report like, bruh, she holding you down, man. Same feeling. So what do you want to be? You want to be in good standards or bad standards? At the end of the day, it's already written that 2/3 gonna be in bad standards. 1/3 gonna be in good standing. All right. So with that, I say shalom.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission, minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.